Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mujahidah Zulfa from Group 2, and I will be explaining the materials from my group, which is Educational Psychology, and another material from Group 3, which is Application of Individual Diversity in Education. I will be starting off with my own material from Group 2, Educational Psychology. Educational psychology, by definition, is basically the study of psychology that is used primarily for a educational environment. It plays an important role when it comes to understanding students' behavior and also related to the teacher's behavior too. There are things solvable with the help of psychology, which is educational psychology. The main things I know is they can assist in helping learning disabilities and differences between students, since all students are unique in their own way. Unique differences often causes behavioral issues, and with the help of educational psychology, a teacher can face it far more easier as they use the basis of psychology fundamentals to help solve the issues that stems from environment or the student's own mental well-being. Now, there are strategies when it comes to psychological. There are multiple psychological strategies used when it comes to environment, when it comes to educational environment. From what I remember, there is psychological nourishment meant for the students, since using a reward system usually helps students in becoming more proud of their work. Therefore, they hope to achieve more in order to receive praise, as most people usually enjoy having their work or results praised, even by teachers or by their own family or friends. There is also CBT and play therapy that can be used during classroom activities. And another strategy, and the last one I remember, is creating a supportive environment to produce the best results when it comes to learning, as a terrible environment can affect deeply, as students cannot focus properly on the materials given. Now, when it comes to education, psychology has multiple contributions related to it. It assists in learning assessment assessment, as teachers can understand what is the best type of assessment for the student in general, whether it is project or regular traditional exam based kind of assessment. It also assists in learners' own learning process, as the teachers can also design a proper learning process that can easily be followed by the student itself. And it's also help in understanding students' development, as each age range differs from one another, and each individual sometimes require different needs in order to develop very well during class. And There is also contributions to education in practice, which is different to education in general, as this is directly involved practices. There are multiple contributions when it comes to educational practice. One of them is helping interaction between students and teachers, as sometimes without proper psychological knowledge, sometimes teachers forget that their students' learning perspective are often different from teachers, and in order to help with that, sometimes they need to think in the perspective of the student itself. It also helps when it comes to administration, which is very specific, as administration often involves only between adults. But psychology also helps, as sometimes to interact with another adult is to sometimes think properly and appreciate their own work. Therefore, psychology also helps a bit. There is also the you can also use psychology to create a schedule for the students, because without psychology you wouldn't understand that even student has its own limit, and without a proper schedule, most likely that students will experience burnout and mental exhaustion if they are too overwhelmed by the work they are given. They can also help in creating lesson objective, as previously stated that each students have different needs, and they have different developmental stages between each students and between each group range, and it also helps a lot. Those are the things I remember from my own material. As for the material from Group C, which is individual diversity in education, from what I know that there are individual diversity in education is obvious, as students has their own preferences when it comes to learning. For example, in this case, there is individual diversity always leads to different learning strategies, and sometimes students needs a different type of learning structure compared to the others. From what I know, some individuals prefer visual learning style, and some would rather have kinetic style, and the other is auditory style of learning. Now, visual often involves graphics, drawings, or text-based kind of learning, which is very common. There is also the auditory, which is also very common, where usually they understand things by listening. Usually through auditory, the teacher will most likely be the one explaining the materials. And there is also kinetic kind of learning, which basically means that it's more reliant on on project based or direct assignments. Some students prefer that over the other two. The reason for individual diversity is because each students are unique in their own ways, and it is important to understand that sometimes a certain method might not work on a student, and sometimes another one doesn't work on this type of students. Therefore, by understanding individual diversity in a classroom setting, a teacher can decide which is the best method to teach their entire student in general. Okay, that is all from me. Thank you, Miss, for listening. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.